Hi, my name is Richard, and this is going to be the first of probably a three-part tutorial on how to model in Blender, get yourself some textures, and finally import all of your hard work into Unity. I'm by no means an expert at any three of them, but I was interested in kind of getting a pipeline together. So what I did was I created basically some tunnel parts, as you can see here, and moved them into like a maze almost. That you can move around. It's actually very simple, very straightforward, and it's all done in Blender, GIMP and Unity, so all free. And the way I did it was to create three basic pieces. Let me just quickly stop this and create three pieces in Blender, these three here. So I created a straight tunnel, that's that one there, kind of crossroads there, and I'm calling it a corner piece, but you can see it's kind of like a T-junction. What I haven't done is I haven't created endpoints. So actually, if I go back to my my game here and click play, you'll see that there are a number of kind of empty chasms that you can fall down, and gravity will take its course, and you'll be doomed. So things like that maybe you want to work on in your own time. But I won't go into great detail into any of the three that I'm going to be doing. Just so much as get you started, get you understanding the basic principles, and then and get you from one point to another. I'm not the greatest tutorial giver in the world, so please excuse me if I bounce around, say things I shouldn't, say and arm. I'll try and avoid all that stuff because I know I listen to tutorials and it drives me mad. But let me try and at least give you what I know, and I hope that you find this tutorial useful. So if you do, please thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll more than happily do some more if you need them. So let's get started with Blender. My apologies, one thing I should have mentioned before I carry on is that these two boxes here I added for effect, just to add a little bit of interest to the scene. I got them from BlendSwap, and just as a kind of shout out to the people there, because they give these things away for free and you could use stuff like this. I highly recommend BlendSwap to look at. Let me quickly find the credits page if I can. Here it is. The guy that wrote it was Wokey, and he was writing a game I think called Space Shocker. So check out his website, spaceshocker.com. There we go, spaceshocker.com. Have a look by all means, and like I say, take full advantage of BlendSwap, because it is a rather excellent website for all your kind of asset needs. I won't go into that now. So let's get started. I'm using version Blender 2.71. I just found out something rather interesting. I was using Blender 2.73a, but I've just found out that it no longer supports the screencast, which is this thing over here on the left hand side, which shows your mouse movements and kind of shows what you're up to in terms of scaling, resizing, all that sort of thing. So we're going to go with version 2.71, and let's start off by doing the tunnel, the straight tunnel. Should be nice and easy. A few things I want to set out. I've removed the bottom timeline window. I've removed this what's it called, the global manipulator. I find it just gets in the way. I tend to just press X, Y or Z to manipulate stuff around. If we go on to the active data tab over here, we can set the units to metric. It doesn't actually matter because Blender treats one Blender unit as 1 meter, but if you go into press N to bring up the properties menu, you'll see that it actually shows the dimensions in size, which is useful because as it turns out, Unity and Blender share the same units. So a meter in or one Blender unit is the same as one Unity unit. So it's good news, isn't it? Okay, right. Now let's start creating the straight tunnel. This is quite easy. I did a few runs at this, so if you just kind of follow my steps, you'll see where I'm going with this. The first thing I want to do is I want to add a mesh, and I want to add a cylinder. Now you may recall that our tunnel, if you like, this is it here. This is the cylinder that I created, but you can see clearly it's not a cylinder. It's more of a kind of a hexagon, octagon thing with a few kind of ridges in it. So what I did, I don't know if I'm too late. No, I just changed the number of vertices to 8, and you can see now it looks a lot more like an octagon. And I'm going to rotate it X 90 degrees. Okay, we're almost there, because if we go to the front view by pressing numpad 1, I like to work in orthographic mode, by the way, which is numpad 5. This kind of makes everything completely flat, and I want this edge here to be on the ground. So let's just rotate it. It's half of 45 degrees, so that's 22.5. We'll type that in, 22.5. Press enter, and now we've got something a little bit closer to a tunnel. And here's the rather clever bit. I can actually set the dimensions, but what's weird now is because we've rotated it, we should always realign the rotation and scale. Okay, if you just press Control 8, rotation and scale, that now means that for this object, Y is now that way, X is that way, and Z is up and down. If you don't do that, you'll get some weird results. But you won't get weird results. If you rotate something, then its x-axis is different to what you see on the screen. So I press Control A, rotation and scale a lot, just so that I understand where I am. And now I can define the size. And I want my tunnel to be 12 meters long. I find 12 to be a very good distance because it's divided nicely by 3, 4, 3 and 4. So that's good. We'll make the width 5 meters, and we'll make the height 3 meters. Okay, let's just go. Oh no, sorry, excuse me. The other thing I like to do is I like to tab into edit mode. I like to use Control Tab to bring up the mesh selection mode, and I will be using face here. I'm going to select the front and the rear face with right click and shift right click, and then press X and delete faces. Okay, that's going to create me a tunnel, but you can see it's kind of a bit. I think we need to get these edges here a little bit tighter. Okay, now what I will do is I will start creating, rather than do this multiple times to each edge, we can use what's called the mirror modifier, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, to create an edge loop, which is like an edge, I'll show you around here. You can create an edge loop, you see, that goes all the way around with Control R. Okay, and you can adjust the size or right click to keep it in the center. I'm going to create 2 edge loops, one at the top there, and one at the bottom, other way around, one at the bottom, one at the top. Move it around, but keep them both in the center. And if I then also do the same on this edge, okay, and right click just to cancel it so it doesn't move it, keep it dead center. I won't do it on this edge, and I'll show you why in a second. I'll press 1 to go into front view, Control Tab and 1 to be in vertex select. Okay, and what I will do is I will A to either select or unselect all, and I'll use B to box select, and I'm going to select the entire left hand side and delete all those vertices. It didn't work. Oh, because if I press Z to go into wireframe mode, then it will select everything that is within the box region. So I'll do it again. Okay, now we have half of our shape, and also get this. I'm going to delete the bottom. Go into wireframe mode and delete those. Okay, X vertices. Okay, so we're left with just the top right hand corner, but don't panic, because if I go to the modifiers, click Add Modifier Mirror, it automatically adds one on the X-axis for me. This is where at times, if you haven't done your rotation and scale, you can find it puts it in weird places, so just keep doing that. And also we'll do the Z-axis, and now we're back to where we were. So everything we do to this edge will be applied here, here and here, so we're really going to save ourselves some time. I had to play around with this for a while, and I found the best way to get this right is just to kind of play with it until you're happy. Again, so I'm going to press 1 to go into front view, then G to grab, and X, and just start sliding that across. And then I'll use circle select, which is C, and left click to select those. Again, oh, see, this is what happens when you're not in wireframe mode. You just need to keep an eye out. Luckily there's not too many verts, so you won't get confused. And I'm going to grab that on the Z and move that up. Okay, and you can play with this until you are blue in the face, until you're happy with what you see. I think that looks pretty good in terms of sort of, you know, edges around there, cartons. But I'd also like to add a ridge in the top and the bottom, and you'll see in a minute. I think this looks pretty good. So let's create our edge loops again. Okay, and by using the scroll wheel, pressing it once, you can have or pressing it as many times as you need. You can have multiple edge loops, or you can use the page up or page down keys. Where are mine? Yeah, so you can do that or page down, and I want 2, and I'll show you why in a second. If I left click, and I'll then you can move it around, but I'll right click to cancel. I'll select this edge here and then just grab that on the x-axis and just move it a bit closer. All will become clear. And I'm going to face select mode. If you don't like doing control tab, you can go down here and choose which mode of select you want. I just find control tab, and you can actually type 1, 2 or 3. I quite often do control tab and then type number in. So face. I'm going to grab that edge there, back into front view, and then grab it on the Z, and I'm going to type in a value here, minus 0.1. So look at that. So it's not minus. It is minus. It just didn't take the minus. Minus 0.1. There we go. And if we slide back now, you'll see it's kind of created a ridge there. Let's go to object mode. Tab to go back into object mode. You tab to and from object to edit mode. That looks pretty good, right? I'm going to do the same on the side. You may or may not wish to do this depending on if you want to add windows or something. I didn't add any windows to my tunnel. I only I just kept it very insular. But if you want to add a skybox outside with some space and add windows in here, by all means go ahead. But you will come across a problem that I'll show you later on, which is called occlusion culling. I'm not adding any thickness to this, so literally when you're outside, this might be a little bit too far ahead, but you'll see that you'll be able to see in. Literally, this will be invisible on one side. Only one side of it is displayed. So, and I want them to be the inside edges. Okay, so we have our tunnel, and we will now need to apply the modifier. And if we tab back in, we have what we need there. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just control tab and I'll go to edge mode. There are some edges now that you can see we don't need. That one. It's flat, it's two of the same piece, so let's make that 1 by clicking X and then edge loops. Do the same on the bottom, on the left and on the bottom. I will not do the top because I want that to be the seam. Okay, and I'll show you when we come to unwrap it, it will become clear. In fact, we'll do that now. So let's just Control E, mark seam. Okay. As always, I will do the rotation and scale, just in case. You can see that it got its scale mixed up there. Okay, let's rename this, by the way. Let's do a couple of things. Let's rename it to tunnel and save it. Save, and we'll create a new folder for this. So let's create a new directory. We'll call it tunnels. Where is tunnels? Where are you, tunnels? There you are. And we'll call this. A couple of ways we could do this. I'm going to keep all of the tunnels in the same blend file. You may want to do them in separate blend files. I'm going to put them all in the same one. Okay. Now let's create another window by left clicking the little, I don't know what you call these things, these little corner bits. The plus will appear and then you can drag across. And in this menu here, we don't want the 3D view, we want the UV image editor. Okay, because we're going to unwrap this now. Let's do that. Okay, unwrapping basically flattens this out, and what you can clearly see, we want this to be a nice straight bunch of edges, so that we can easily add textures to it and whatever later on. So let's give it a try. Let's just go A, select all, U, unwrap, and it's done it perfectly. Look, it's kept it completely level. This is good news. I had some occasions where it was bending some of this stuff. If that does happen, let's just do it for the sake of argument. I'll just grab it on the X. It was doing, it wasn't this bad. It was kind of like this. It was creating wobbles, and I thought, I really don't want that. So what you can actually do is, if you just Alt right click a line, say like that, and then press W, align X. If you're doing it vertically, okay, you can see it's actually lined everything up wonderfully. Okay, I'll just come back from that. Let's keep it as it is, and now we'll apply an image to it, at least for testing for now. So let's just create a new UV grid. This will show you, and we'll call it UV grid, and click on UV grid. Okay, and that's actually giving it a UV grid image for now. And if we just go to texture mode, you'll see that it is absolutely perfect. When you unwrap, hang on, little top tip here. Actually, if I just hide the lamp, no, it doesn't work. You need to delete the lamp. it will actually make everything flat, which is fine for now. We're not really interested in texture in lighting in Blender. Another top tip: Shift Space maximizes that window. Okay. This is, you can see here that the squares are perfectly square. If things aren't unwrapped properly, then you'll get warping. Let me again Shift Space to come out of full screen mode. I'll just go in and show you what I'm talking about. Select all. I'll just grab a couple of verts and just grab them on the X, just to just grab the whole lot, then rotate it. You can start to see that things have gotten all warped out of shape, right? If it's gotten that bad, you're in real trouble. But in fact, you'll see in a minute. When we go through to do some of the other tunnel pieces, you'll see that we do have some problems with stretching. So we'll have to work on those. So great, we've got ourselves a tunnel. So let's work next on the corner stroke T-junction piece. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one. So go into object mode, click Shift D, and that'll duplicate it. It gives you the option to move it around. I'm not going to move it around. I'm just going to right click and then click on the other eye up here to hide it. So we're just left with the one we want to work with. Let's get rid of this for now. We don't really care about that. By left clicking and then just dragging. This is the sort of thing that can happen. Left clicking and then across. There we go. That'll get rid of it. I find that fiddly sometimes. Okay, so we've got ourselves a tunnel. We'll call this one tunnel corner or something. Let's call the other one tunnel straight. We'll call this one tunnel corner. Tunnel straight. Okay, so we're in our tunnel corner, which we can see. We want to create a corner, and we only need to create one, remember, because we can rotate it as we need to, whenever, in game or in Blender. So let's do that. Let's create the corner that we're going to do over here. And the way I did this was to go into edit mode, Shift D everything. So that has actually duplicated all of the vertices in the object. I'm going to rotate it Z 90 degrees. Okay, we've got far too much detail, but that's absolutely fine because we're just going to click X there, edge loop select, which is Alt right click, and if we just do X vertices, we're just left with that one there, and that's what we need. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to split this one up. Oh, by Control R, 2 edge loops. We can move it around. We don't want to. I'm just going to. Actually, I might go into solid mode, just down there, just to hide those things, because I think that's going to become an annoyance later on. And let's also clear the seam there, because these things aren't going to be any good to us. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this in closer. This one here in a minute. I'll extrude it, create a line going forward. But let's just get rid of this block here. Control Tab 3 for face select. Alt right click to select those ones, and then X delete the faces, and that creates us a gap. Okay, let's go into top view. You can probably see that gap's not big enough, so let's just quickly I was going to make a suggestion then. In fact, I think I'll do that now, which is that we don't need to do that. We can the mirror modifier is an absolute saviour here. It can literally take what was 4 pieces of work into one. So we will do this now. Will we? Let's do it on the Z-axis. Okay. If we're going to do it on the Z-axis, then we need to add some edge loops. So let's get this and extrude it on the X and pull that across. Okay, and we're going to need some of these. So we're just going to do Control R, right click, Control R, right click, Control R, right click. It's that one, yeah. Let's just do this. Nearly there. Okay, back to front view, and then if we just click Z, then A, X vertices, Okay, we've lost all of those top edges. Alright. So let's add a mirror modifier. And it's just the Z. Let's have a quick look. Lovely. Enable clipping as well. Okay. We could do it on the y-axis as well. Okay. So Z, box select everything on this side of the y-axis, X vertices, and then do that. And if everyone's been kind to us, and they have, now we just need to align this corner here, and everything else will connect. You'll see in a second. It's pretty amazing. Now, to get things lined up, I take full advantage of the snap tool. Okay, this is the saviour here, and I'm gonna whip through this, and I hope I'm not too quick. Please let me know if it's not making sense. By enabling the snap tool and snapping to vertex, I can grab entire edge loops. Just go top view. Hang on, before I do that. Yep. Okay, and I'm going to grab the entire lot on the Y, and I'm going to align it with that vertex there. Now, why is that doing that? I can only assume because rotation is scale. Y and Z. Apologies, I've worked out what it is. I need to delete this section here as well, which I hadn't done. So let's just box select that as well. Okay. Okay, so now we are back in where we were, and I will just quickly grab those on the X, on the Y again. So G and Y, and I can move them around. So it's this one I want to be aligned with. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start marrying these guys up. Okay. I'm going to switch that off. Then I'm going to right click that one and shift right click the if you like the original one, and do Alt M and merge at last. Okay, and that'll move that one forward. I'm going to do the same with this, but what I will do now is I'll just click the one on the right, and then click the straight thing, and click Shift R, which repeats everything. This is a good start. Okay, now we need to find a way to bridge this little gap here, so I'm just going to create a triangle. Some people think that's bad news, but so click those three, press F. Let's just get back into face select mode. Okay, so far so good. Okay, right, I can see a quite easy win here. If I E to extrude that on the x-axis, and then I'll just grab that. I haven't got the snap tool, so let's turn it back on, and let's grab it on the X until we get to that point there. Okay, shift click click click, F to make a face. And this is the fun bit now, so I'm going to extrude that on the Y till I get to that point there. And you can see this is exact measurement stuff now, so I can just F that one. Let's extrude that one on the X to there. Extrude on the X to there. Okay, we're in good shape so far. Extrude on the X to there. Just click the other ones and press F. Extrude on the X to there. And press F. Okay. Good. And I think you'll see we're going to hit a problem when these guys collide. Now, I've done this a few times now. And I have an answer, and that is to create a little triangle just there in that corner there. So let's extrude this one on the Y to there, create a face, and this bit here F to create a triangle. Okay, and then extrude on the Y. Yep, extrude on the X. got a choice. We can create another triangle, a flat triangle, or we could just go for an n-gon. I'm going to save time and go for an n-gon. This lot here, not you guys, I'm just going to select those vertices there, and I'm going to extrude. I'm going to turn the snap tool off and ensure that clipping is enabled, and I'm going to extrude on the Y, and that'll bring it in, snap it to the center. Nope. Let's try that again. I want to snap it to there, don't I? Can you see that? So let's extrude on the Y again to there. Then extrude on the Y to the center. Okay, now it's another job of just tidying this up. Good. Looking good, I think. I'm happy with that. Okay. Right, so does it look alright? I think one of the problems, well, let's apply the modifier. Let's just Control Z. Let's just save it, then apply the modifier. You go too far, you can end up in a position you can't get out. I think it looks like that because the normals have got slightly confused. So let's just select all. Go to shading UVs on the tools menu. If you haven't got this up, just press T. It'll bring up the tools menu, and then shading UVs and recalculate. Yeah, that's better. You have to have everything selected, okay? They may be facing the wrong way. I'll come to that in a minute. But first things first, let's unwrap this one. We've got a few options. Again, we can get rid of some of these edge loops. X edge loop. We can do this. We can do this. I'm not going to do the bottom one yet because I have a feeling what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this top one. I'm going to do Control E, mark seam. Yeah, I made this exactly the same mistake last time. These verts here, if we go to top view 7, they need to be here. So it's okay, it's not difficult. We've got the snap tool. Let's engage it and grab on the X and just pull them to there. And we'll do the same at the bottom. Could have done this before the mirror modifier, but there we go. Grab on the X and just pick that one there. So it's nice and straight, which is good news for us. Because now I can create an edge loop pretty much all the way around. Those triangles are stopping me. There we go. Let's create a mark seam for that one. Okay. If I wasn't showing you what I was doing Alt right click, then Alt Shift right click to select these edge loops here. You can see I've gone all the way around there and created a seam. It's not going to unwrap perfectly unless we put another seam there, because you won't have any way to know where to unwrap it. Let's mark that seam. So, should we give that a try? Let's bring the thing out again. Go to UV image editor. Select all. So A and then U unwrap. Well, it looks pretty put. You can see though, can't you? It's done some bends on it. Or maybe it hasn't. Maybe I'm just getting a bit paranoid. You can do once you've created seams. By the way, if you just click go into face mode, select the face and press L. There we go. Press L. It'll select all the faces that are in that seam, within that section. That's quite useful, and you can see they're all straight. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, this isn't quite so great. Shift space. I'll just bring this up. And another useful tool. If I press N, if you go down here, really useful option under the display. You click on stretch. Anything that's blue is perfect. Anything that's kind of not light blue or whatever is slightly stretched. This is absolutely fine. My biggest grumble is that it's not straight. You can see it's sort of curved in there. We could do some work to tidy that up. Like I say, we could maybe just W align Y, align X like that, and then do the same over here. Okay, and we could go through each of these. We just need to be a bit careful because, like, see, the edge loop's gone all the way around there. So if we did a line X now, it would mess everything up. Let's just, if you pin stuff, by the way, so if I do P to pin, it means when I unwrap again, those will not move. So let's do those on those two straight edges, and press E. Okay, so it's kind of squished it around a bit, but not much. Right, so I do that. Yeah, W align X, P, W align X, P, E. See, it's kind of getting better. This is the problem. You get quite addicted to this. I'm going to go with that. Okay, because now shift space to come back out. Pop you into texture mode, and we have a problem because I need to select everything. What have I done wrong? No, okay, if you can be loud about it. That's interesting. I don't know how I did that. I think that there's only one. Okay, I'm a bit of a loss. Let's just have a quick think about this. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. It's quite simple, really. I just need to select them all, U, unwrap, and just make sure that I just do UV grid. There we go. Just quickly shift space to bring up the full screen there. As you can see, I mean, there's the seam there, right? So this is why that looks a bit weird, but this is perfect. If we just quickly hide you again, and then bring up the straight tunnel. Just grab that on the X. Okay. One of the things you'll work on is scaling. You can see, I think, if not, unless I'm mistaken, that is slightly better detail than that. These squares are slightly bigger, which means it hasn't been able to use quite the same resolution, which makes sense because there's more verts on this one than that one. Okay. The next one, you'll be pleased to hear, the crossroads is an absolute doddle. It's going to take us a few seconds to do. Let's just quickly move that one back. There we go. We'll hide the straight one. No. Hide the straight one. We're going to click on this. Let's go back into solid mode. We're going to tab into edit mode. Control tab 1. We are literally going to do the following. We're going to click Z to go into wireframe. Okay, back to 1. Unselect all. Select this slot here. Okay, X vertices. We're going to create a mirror model. Oh, hang on, sugar. Before I do anything else, let's quickly quickly duplicate it. Okay, and we'll call this tunnel crossroads. We nearly lost one for the other then. Let's hide the corner one. And this is the crossroads. We'll tab into this. Let's do that again. Z 1. Make sure we've unselected everything. Press A until everything's gone. B to box select. Select everything on the left-hand side of the center. There. X vertices. And now, by a simple case of adding a mirror modifier and applying, there you go. Crossroads created. And I could be wrong here. Is it going to be kind and keep the... It has, you know. It's even done the stitching work for us. That is a nice relief, because I can tell you this this caused me a few problems the first time round, which can only mean that it's using the same section of the image for these two pieces. If I quickly show you what I mean, this is fine. It's quite good in many respects. It saves, you know, it allows us to have more detail, but it does mean that you can't have a unique something there and a unique something there, because they're both sharing the same UV space. Why has that? There we go. So if I just select, say, a couple of faces, let's select the whole thing, alright? And if I select this lot as well, you can see that it's coming up with the same verts on the left hand side. If I just select the one just to show you this section. Alright, that's that bit. But this one is the left hand side, as is that one. But that's fine because it gives us a bit more ability to add detail. Okay, so we now have, unless I'm mistaken, let's bring these guys back. Obviously they're all showing exactly the center point at the moment, which is what I want, believe it or not, because when we come to export them to Unity, we'll want to make sure that they're all centered nicely. Okay, so let's just make absolutely sure. I'm going to select this, do Control A, rotation to scale, select the crossroads, Control A, rotation to scale, tile straight, Control A, rotation to scale. Okay, let's save our work. Just want to double check the tunnel is imaged correctly. Yes, it is. This is lovely. So we have completed the first part. We've got ourselves some tunnels, as you can see at the minute. Nobody will want to walk through those. They'd probably go mad very, very quickly. In the next section, we'll work on creating some textures. Again, this the next section is going to be a bit of a rush through using GIMP for texture creation, but it'll be fun, and you can go to town, spend a lot more time on it. But I'll be just kind of rushing through it just to get us something that looks roughly like a tunnel on a space station. Thanks for listening so far. Hope you enjoyed the demo, the tutorial, and catch you in the next one in part 2. Cheers now. Bye bye.